Good morning, guys. I hope that you're having a good time. I'm gonna explain you the basic troubleshooting steps that you need to learn in order to fix software and hardware. Okay, there's six, like I said, there are 6 steps, and we are gonna identify every single one and explain every single one so you can then use it whenever you want to solve a problem or advise a person related to their physical or software problem with their laptop, PC, or even, and this also can be applied for cell phones, tablets, etc. Okay, so the first element that you need to do is to identify the problem. Yeah. So it's basically in order to identify the problem, the basic element that you have to do is to ask questions. Okay. And so 2 elements, what to look for and what to ask. We are gonna see these 2 elements. The first one, what to look for or things that you need to see is like if you see that there are any physical damages, number one, and maybe it sounds a little bit dumb, but it's a reality. Sometimes people don't try to turn on their computer before asking for help, so you need to see if the computer turned on or not. Check if the power cord is in good condition. That's the other element. That happens when people are asking for help and they don't realize that maybe their cable or the cord is in bad condition. Check to see if all the cores have good connection. Maybe, for instance, the computer is working, the CPU is working, but the monitor is not working, and you realize that the problem is not the screen itself, it's the cord. It could be like the electricity cord that maybe is broken, or the connection cord that connects the screen with the CPU is not working properly. So that is the reason why it can affect the development or the or how this element works. Check to see if any of the components are still usable. Probably some of the components are like old, or they are not the appropriate element. So maybe the customer has um, to buy a new one because maybe it's a really old screen, a really old keyboard, a really old mouse, etc., etc. Or sometimes with internet, when a lot of people have problem with internet, is because their router is really old, so they really need to upgrade. See if the computer will boot up. We will see if it's actually, if all the drivers, all the elements of the computer, especially from the CPU, works perfectly, if every of them run properly. So if we see that, we will see the physical damage. Yeah, I think, for instance, if the customer said that the screen doesn't work and it's because it's broken, definitely you will let them know that. So, but sometimes it could sound like a little bit dumb to say this, but that really happens. So you need to advise first that probably it's because there is a physical damage, the reason why the computer is not working properly. That's the number one. And you can, if it's more related to the software, even though the screen is damaged, you can still get the data of the computer. The only big problem or the most important element is that the hard drive isn't damaged. If the hard drive is damaged, so in that case you need to to tell them that probably it's gonna be really hard to get the information. So that's the first part, and what to ask. So these are the basic questions that you need to ask. That I need to focus on this because we are gonna do a role play, and so you need to ask this because I'm gonna be the customer, and you need to ask these following questions. How it happened? I'm like, what happened? Like, when did this thing happen? Can you replicate the problem? Like, it's coming. Is this situation has been going on for several times, several weeks, several days? Have they updated the newest software? Sometimes when you update the software, some of the updates have certain worms or certain problems So you need to ask, because probably they need to go back to the previous software or the previous update. Have they downloaded anything recently? You know, sometimes some programs, some documents, some elements can get a virus inside. So, and especially if you download this an application or a document in an unknown or unsafe website, you can have the risk of getting a virus is bigger. So you need to ask these elements. Have they opened any risky emails? That's another why, because you can get any spam or any phishing scam or any type of virus that can affect the the functionality of your computer. So these things that you need to ask when people are asking. This is specifically for any software problem, because if it's a hardware, it doesn't matter if you have downloaded anything, because it means that it's more likely to be a physical damage. But this is more related to a software problem. Okay. The other one, after you identify the problem, you establish a theory. Think of a possible cause that will help you to find an apprehensive approach to finding a solution to the matter in question. So, for instance, he has a problem with the software, he has a problem with the screen, but it's nothing related to the electricity core, it's more related to a software. So, but the customer told us that he downloaded a program, but he didn't know how I mean the developer of this product, so it's not a trusted company. So the first thing that he will theorize, or we are gonna theorize, is that okay, so probably due to this specific problem, we have this issue with the screen. Okay, so we establish a theory. How this happen? Why this thing is happening? What's the real cause? How to establish this? What we already know about the current predicament is like we already know that there is a specific problem. There's a problem with the screen. There's a problem with the keyboard. There's a problem with the hard drive. What are the theories in question? Ask why and study patterns that could determine what happened. Like in this case, like after this happened, after I did this happened, after I did that, this happened. You know, like you need to understand that every action has a reaction. So if he don't know a virus, there's gonna be an action in your computer. So you need to see that patterns. After establishing a theory, you need to test the theory. The matter of implementing the theory to see if it works. Like, okay, let's, for instance, if we know that it was due to a problem with the virus, just try to use the antivirus, for instance. Um, for instance, well, clearly you question the obvious. You question really certain elements, like, okay, you have a problem with virus. Okay, have you tried to use the antivirus? No. Okay, let's try to do it. Um, have you checked the courts? Yeah. Have you tried to see if there's any real problem in the courts? No. Okay, let's do it. Look at software and hardware truthfully. Like we are gonna check the hard drive, the current situation of the hard drive, the current situation of the antivirus. We're gonna check the current situation of any cord, or the situation of the screen, the situation of your hard drive, etc., in order to realize or understand what is the real process that we need to do. Use a hypothesis to guide you in a general direction. We are doing a hypothesis because we don't really know yet what really happened. But in the meantime, if we create an hypothesis, we can establish certain steps that we can do in order to get the solution. Run tests on the software of the computer. For instance, we can test the hard drive, we can test the antivirus, we can test basic elements. You know, like there's actually troubleshooting programs that will lead you to a specific solutions or a specific information. There is actually a damage report program on the computers that will let us know what could be the real problem, or what are the specific parts of the computer or that could uh, have specific problems. The next one is the plan of action. You need to create a plan of action using the things you have identified and your hypothesis. So after you know or you have a more accurate idea of what's the current problem, you can create a plan of action. So I'm gonna do this step number one, then step number two, then step number three, then step number four, and so on until you solve the problem. And actually, you need to go into action start, and you need to experiment with the software. So for, like I said, if you know that this guy, our customer, downloaded an unknown file, and after that you have a problem, so and you identify that it could be a virus, so then the step number one is to run the antivirus. Number two could be just determine the information of the antivirus, and number three, just try to use another other programs to determine if it's a virus or not, and probably you need to delete the document as well. So basically, this part of the process, after you create a hypothesis and you make the correct questions, you can start making your own plan. It's important to plan everything, you know. Verify system functionality. After you do your troubleshooting process, you try to see on the software, you run the antivirus, and you realize that there was in fact a virus, and with the help of the antivirus, you quarantine the computer or you delete the virus, then you will verify the system functionality. Yeah. How you can verify that? To do a system functionality test, you need to start with checking the solidity of the computer and test if its limits, such as a speed test. So you basically check the speed test, you can check the drive, the test drive. For instance, if you do Control Alt and super, you can get this element. This one will help you to determine the quality of and the capacity of your computer. You will see right now. I know that you have done that. This one will give you the information of your computer, and you can see how it works, how is your computer working, the applications, how it work in your computer. For instance, the memory, your hard drive, the Wi-Fi, the GPU. So you can see the current situation of your computer if you open this tab, and you can see how it works. So you can test your computer. Finally, you have the outcome. Basically, the outcome is the final information that you will obtain if after your actions it doesn't solve the problem. You can at least have a more specific idea and more specific resolution of the situation, or you basically solve the problem. You should thoroughly check for others and record what you have done, due to the fact that you are no longer under the law of negligence. I mean, like, you basically did what you did, but you did in with the opportunity uh, of helping a person, and and that's the reason why, if you record the information of the action that you did, people can say that you basically make things worse, you know, because you record what you did. And for instance, if the customer wants to go to other company, other person to fix the computer, you can give the information of what you already done, so the other person don't do the same again. So basically, the outcomes is basically all the documents or documentation of everything that they have done on the computer. So in order to avoid any problems, because basically when it's like, especially when there's a warranty thing, if you do a troubleshoot with a cell phone or a computer, sometimes people can lose their warranty of the product. So it's better if you just document your actions. So basically, that's the basic steps of doing a troubleshoot in your computer. And I need you to learn, to study, and to create a specific plan, because we are gonna do a role play about it. And I want to know and want to see how you can handle this. I know that you already know how to do it,